Let's call this meeting to order. We have one item on the agenda, but first, a couple of important items in business. Let's get the roll call and see if we're all present in one way or another. Member Wood? Yes. Member Straight? Member Straight, yes. Member Reel? Member Norton? I got you. Member Norton? I think I saw Member Norton. Did she answer here? We got her? Okay. All right. Member Lear, I just want to make sure we had communication. She's with us? Okay. Member Lear, Member Carey?
Yes.
Member Hymas? Member Hart is online, I believe. Molly, are you with us? Member Hart? No? Okay. Member Norton, I didn't hear you. Are you with us? People have seen you, but I just want to make sure you're in communication. Not sure? Member Norton? Okay, we'll come back to those online. I just want to see if we have a system issue. Member Green?
Here.
Member Earl?
Yes.
Member Davis? Member Klein? Member Booth? And Member Bogus? And Member Moss is here. All right, before we turn to our one item of business, like I said, we have more important business. We get to welcome a special group with us, our USBE Student Advisory, and I'll probably get it wrong, Board Group Task Force Crew. Tell us, the Student Advisory Council to our board, right, to the USBE. Would you mind just stand up and introduce yourselves by name really quickly? You're the reason we're here, so that's pretty high on our priority list. If you wouldn't mind, just stand up, say your name and what school and district you're from.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we've got you, Member Norton.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Great. Thank you, thank you. And you guys are way tapped in. I just meant your school district. The fact that you know your school board district is better than probably most of us. So thank you. We greatly appreciate, yeah, they do keep changing on us, but we greatly appreciate you being here and look forward to hearing from you as you serve in your capacity as our own Student Advisory Council. So thank you very much. All right. Let me just report an update, and we've had several. We had one just yesterday, and we've got another one. So we received from the legislature 2 items that you all received as soon as I got them, and that was a couple hours ago. So we appreciate that constant communication from the legislature. And I'll just kind of summarize and highlight where this fits in and where it's coming from. And then, you know, we'll be able to discuss details. But in the constitutional proposal itself, there was a change that in Article 13, Section 5, Sub B, the language used to say that a statutory public education funding framework will use a portion of revenue growth and expenditures from the Uniform School Fund to address changes in student enrollment and long-term inflation. The question was whether the term address actually meant that it would be used for that purpose or whether it would be, you know, something resembling a need to discuss it. So we appreciate their response. We asked if that could be solidified, and it was. So it says that it will be used for those purposes, so that changes in enrollment and growth will be funded from the income tax. And it specifies long-term inflation, which will mean a 5-year rolling average. So as is typical with some of the other elements of things gauged to inflation, That's the meaning of long-term inflation from my discussion with legislature. Second, you'll see the other side of that document is the same. There is the 6% WPU, the hold harmless freeze, and a 2% WPU increase that would be set aside for after the election. So these pieces are linked. There is in your backup documentation also the specific language, excuse me, that would be used to accomplish the hold harmless. And I'll just read it out for the record. So enrollment growth, and let's see, let me back up to where we need. The stabilization restricted account will be is an amount that is greater than or equal to the sum of, and then we've got enrollment growth and inflation, and an amount equal to a projected reduction in appropriations to the minimum school program from the Uniform School Fund for the given fiscal year related to a decline in student enrollment, that the Office of the Legislative Fiscal Analyst recommends to the Executive Appropriations Committee in consultation with the State Board and the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget for the fiscal years beginning July 1st, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and 29. And if the legislature amends the sunset date described in above after a sunset review for the fiscal years beginning on July 1st, 2030, 2031, 2032, 2033, and 2034, excuse me. Lots of coughing going on. So that puts into effect what we had in concept described in the handout, which was it will hold harmless for 5 years with a sunset review at that point. And in the last one had 5 years, we requested that that be extended to 10. The legislature responded by giving a review rather than a hard cutoff at 5 years. So with that, I see Member Earl had a light and then Member Lear. Member Earl and Member Lear, sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion for us to start with, and that would be to support the language that is included in here to maintain a statutory public education education funding framework that uses a portion of revenue growth for expenditures from the Uniform School Fund for changes in student enrollment and long-term inflation, and to provide a budgetary stabilization account, and to support other state needs after the fulfillment of the requirements in subsection 5B.
Include this.
Nope, just the Constitution language.
I will second. Discussion, Member Earl to the motion.
Yes, just listening to JLC, listening to other individuals over the last little bit, it's clear that and it's also the earmark is already going to be moving forward, removing that earmark. I think it's key. These are provisions we've talked about. I think it's important that we move forward on something while we have the opportunity to do that. Regardless, I think the earmark's going to be moving forward, and I think that this is a way to put into the Constitution key provisions. Additionally, we don't know economically where we're going to be in a couple of years, and I think it's important that we move the language forward. So.
All right, discussion to that motion. Member Lear. I seconded. So, let's get that language up there. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's. We'll slow it down, and it's in the handout, right? So we can just throw that up there. Yeah, it's the same language from the handout. I think. Correct. I think you just. Sorry, you're the maker of the motion.
Yeah, it's the very end one in our documents. So. No,
that's our motion. We need the most recent legislative proposal. It was a PDF that came out and circulated today. So that's got the motion. Yeah, Brian emailed it to everybody. Oh, I think you were on the one from Milner. So were you on the one that Milner sent out? Maybe not. Okay. All right, let's see. Could you make sure they have that? I'm sorry.
No,
Scott,
it's this, yeah, that would be accurate. I pulled it up under,
yeah, it came from Tate, Milner's intern first, and then to, let's see. I thought they got it. Well, I thought, okay, good. All right, sorry. Yeah. I should have done it. I was trying to get all the mess. When you try to do the group email, target it, where I got lost. While we're waiting, Member Hart, can you hear us now? I got a text that you weren't able to hear us. Thank you. I guess, but the lack of response is an answer to the question, right? It's almost like it's in the reports and requirements task force where we send out a survey to ask about surveys. It's sort of getting a little bit built in. All right. Do we have anybody that could help Member Hart? There we go. Oh, thank you.
okay, it's up now.
All right, so let me just clarify. What is up on the screen is the total package proposal that was presented by the legislature as of today. The motion on the floor is the constitutional language on the right, and that is precisely as it appears on the screen, the Article 13, Section 5 language, just to be clear. So that's what's on the floor. That's been seconded. I just want to see if we have Member Hart. We had still one board member that wanted to participate, and I'm not sure. Still nothing online or? Okay.
Member Lair, are you?
I think we had Member Lear had the first light, and then we have Member Bogus.
I have a
Yes.
substitute motion.
Okay,
You
well, let's
wanna
hear what it is.
Oh, you remember me, I was like.
Very-
"You said it."
Very trusting.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
There's some trust somewhere
second.
in this world between the two of us. Okay, my motion is three parts. that the board opposes the current SJR 10.
Let me just ask a quick point of order. Is that the substitute to what's pending? Okay, it's very broad. Okay,
And I'm not
Part one.
finished.
okay.
That's
No,
the
no, that
first
was part one. Gotcha.
Second part, that the board take no position on the additional language in Article 13. And the third part, that an additional 2%, in addition to the legislature's offer of 2%, for a total of 10% additional to the WPU in the upcoming school year. And I'm trying to give credit to the legislature for offering us an additional 2%. So there's a 6% that's on the table, WPU. Then the legislature, as part of this package, offered us 2%. And I'm saying my motion would be to add an additional 2% to that for a total of a 10% WPU increase in the coming year. And you mean that's going up on the screen? Well, Cindy was encouraging me to give them credit for the 2% they offered. Essentially, it's a 10% WPU increase for the 23-24 school year.
Okay, that is framed up correctly on the board. Does that look right? Second, okay.
Good work, Sarah.
Speak to the motion, Member Lear, or have you?
No, I have not.
ahead.
I absolutely oppose the current SJR 10, which gives us no guarantee language. The argument's been made that there's earmark hasn't done any good for education, and I would posit that it may not have affirmatively helped us as much as we would have liked due to the legislature's reluctance, but that indeed it has kept that money from being diverted to other needs, other causes. So I oppose the SJR 10 without the earmark, without the guarantee. I'm not supportive of the legislative language. I feel like it's, as I've said before, it's dressed up, it's got fancy words. It offers a portion, and without a guarantee if that's 2% or 92%, it offers other words that are not hard and fast that I don't think are meaningful to me in a environment like this. So I would urge that we take no position on the alternative language in Article 13. And then the third part, if we know that the money is there for up to a 10%, more than a 10% WPU, but we'd be asking for what is settled on, what the legislature is tied to other things, and then an additional 2%. So a total of a 10% increase in the WPU.
Okay, further discussion. We have Member Davis. And then, oh, am I going wrong? Am I out of order? I'm sorry, let me get my list here. August, then Davis, then Hymas? Are you on? Or it's Wood. Well, let's get there. We got to follow in order. I think we had Bogus. Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost track. Is it Bogus, then Davis, then, okay.
Thank you, Chair. I
Robin?
just would offer that I don't like the language of statutory in the Constitution. It enables the legislature, no matter who they are or what side of the aisle they fall on, to effectively change the Constitution without changing the Constitution. And so having that language of maintaining a statutory framework just allows anybody at any time from now into our posterity, 30 years from now, to go rogue. And the Constitution is supposed to be there to stabilize government, to stabilize, to keep us consistent. And as this is written, nothing is unconstitutional. So it needs to be written so we fall on one side of the line or the other. And as such, I would support Member Lear's motion.
Okay, Member Davis.
I'd like to make an amendment on number 2. It currently reads, takes no position on alternate language for Article 13. And I would add that we communicate to legislators that the language, the proposed language is moving in the right direction. And I'd like to speak to the motion.
Is there a second? Seconded, go ahead and speak the motion.
Thank you. Overall, this, for me, is a case of voting. Either way, we're going to lose some. We're either going to lose some by giving some support to this language, or we're going to lose all by having SJR 10 go as is out to the polls. And so I totally agree with the statutory framework language. People know I beat that horse till it's dead. And we had a unanimous ask that that language be changed. I mean, it'd be great if it did, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that. But I will say, if we don't give a nod or a communication to the legislators that this language that's proposed is moving in the right direction for SJR 10, then SJR 10 is going to go to voters with earmark food tax reduction. And when you're alone in the polls, nobody's going to be there to explain to you that food tax is 1% and, you know, education's going to lose like 50% historical average. Nobody's going to do that. You're just going to vote to get rid of your food tax, which I support getting rid of food tax, by the way. But I think this amendment would be helpful to Senator Milner and Representative Peterson to go to their body and say SJR 10 language needs to be changed to these things. Without the amendment is what my understanding is what JLC proposed this morning. But with the amendment would give them more of what they need to take this to legislators and say, we need to move forward with language changes in SJR 10. And we do. The way it stands is not good.
Okay, and I'll just remind the body, we are wrapping at 3:45. We might push to 3:50. The idea is that many of us need to be at House Ed, so we'll try to keep it moving along. Probably look at 3:50, 3:55, but we had Member Wood up next.
Okay.
Oh, to the amendment? Okay. Member Earl, to the amendment?
Yes, the amendment in and of itself is nice that is suggested here, but they've been asking for weeks for something more concrete. We've given them some language to do that. If we need to strike something like statutory, so it just states to maintain a public education funding framework that uses a portion, something like that, then we should do that. But to not move forward with something means we don't have anything to say, well, it's a nice gesture. I think you should use something like this. We're down to the 7 days before the legislature's over. We don't have anything if we don't have anything, right? So I agree. We shouldn't be saying no on this, but we should definitely be saying, here's where we should be going, because the earmark is going to be moving forward. And without some language in there as to what we would like in there, there's a good chance it won't happen at all. So while I agree with this amendment, I don't think it's strong enough at this point in the game. We're at the end here. So
Point of order.
Thank you, Member Earl. Point of order.
This language that's on the screen is not exactly my amendment, but it would read that the proposed language is in the right direction, not the proposed amendment.
I
He's
think
in the
that
right
is
place.
the
He's in
amendment.
the right place.
Got it.
And
Got it both.
request board leadership communicate to legislators that the proposed language is in the right direction.
So may I ask a point of clarification?
Sure.
Are you talking today's language or something we've
Today's.
passed okay.
Today's proposed language is in the right direction, and perhaps if it all goes through and gets passed and all that, maybe at some point our opposition to SJR 10 might change.
Okay.
Who knows?
Let me just, I see no other lights, but I'll speak briefly to that same point that I think we have had a very thorough and exhaustive discussion with the legislature. They've incorporated, in my view, most of the things we requested. We tried early on to get formulas and numbers. The report was that wouldn't be acceptable to their body. And so each of the concepts that we have proposed has found its way into constitutional language, and I hope we will support that element. And so for that reason, I would oppose the amendment and the underlying, because I think on that point, they've come to where we are, and I hope we can support it. And I don't think it's open after today for additional proposals. I understand our desire, and if we make that step, then we'll make the step and throw more things in the hopper. But my understanding, at least on what is going to stop SJR 10 and go on the ballot, is the possibility of agreement on that constitutional language. So I see no other light. No, we do see a light. Member Hymas? Member Wood?
Yes.
Sorry.
Motion to divide, please.
Motion to divide,
How do you want it divided?
and how would it be divided?
1, 2, 3.
Divide,
Oh, yes,
um,
we
Yeah,
do.
we do.
Is that not appropriate law amendments?
Oh, wait, sorry.
The amendment,
I'll withdraw that motion until we voted on the amendment. I just didn't want to be
Okay.
out.
yeah, so we have an amendment to item number 2. And so this is a motion to divide as to the underlying motion. Is it best to wait, as Member Wood suggests on that? It is to divide the substitute motion, Member Lear's motion, for which there is now an amendment on the floor from Member Davis.
Number 2. Yeah.
I think we need the amendment. That's what Member Wood's saying. Great, all right. We're all in agreement on that. So without objection, we'll hold the motion and vote on the amendment. All right, so the motion before the board is Member Davis's amendment to add the following to end of item number 2 is as follows, quote, "And requests board leadership communicate to legislators that the proposed language is in the right direction." Member Bogus? Member Booth? Member Klein? Member Davis?
Yes.
Member Earl? Member Green?
Yes.
Member Hart?
No.
Member Hymas? Member Carey?
yes,
Member Lear? Member Norton?
Yes.
Member Reel? Member Straight? Member Wood?
Yes.
Member Moss is a yes. That motion passes 10-5. So the underlying motion has been amended. The underlying substitute motion has been amended. Back to Member Wood.
I move that we divide the question.
And that division would be 1, 2, and 3 each
Yes.
separately.
Yes, please.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Second. Oh, I heard 10 and I could have heard wrong. 10-5. All right. Fair enough. Back to you, Member Wood. It's been seconded. Would you like to speak to the motion to divide?
I would just like the opportunity to vote on each one separately.
Okay, and I would agree with that for my part. Let's go back and vote. We'll start at the bottom, seeing no lights. Oh, sorry, do we have a light? It's on to the motion to divide first, then we'll go back to each element. So, all right, the motion before the body is a motion to divide, that the board divide each of the 3 items separately. Those 3 items in the underlying substitute motion from Member Lear. So Member Wood on the motion to divide. Member Straight. Member Reel. Member Norton.
Yes.
Member Lear. Member Carey.
yes,
Member Hymas. Member Hart.
Yes.
Member Green.
Yes.
Member Earl. Member Davis. Member Klein. Member Booth. And Member Bogus. And Member Moss is a yes. So a motion passes. And let us turn to item number 1. So again, keeping track of time, we're at 3:30 right now. We've got divided portion 1 of the underlying substitute from Member Lear is that the board opposes SJR 10. Back to you, Member Lear, if you'd like to discuss, or did you already?
For the most part, but I wanted to add a clarification that may or may not matter as it's currently stated. So
Okay,
opposes SJR 10 as currently written or stated.
proposed as a friendly without objection. That will be added as is currently
And
stated.
again, if I have the opportunity to speak again, I would say I oppose this because there is no guarantee in there. I support a guarantee. I do not agree with other individuals, however, much more powerful in government than I am, that a guarantee means nothing. I feel like it does. I think that actually it was Hauber with UASBO who said today it may not have given education all that we wanted, but it has been a protection for education for many years. And there's some reason that very powerful legislators really, really want to get rid of it. That call it a constitutional guarantee or an earmark. There is a great effort on their part to do away with it. If it were so unimportant, I don't think there would be that big push to get rid of it. So I feel like it is meaningful, and I not willing to get rid of the constitutional guarantee readily.
Thank you. Member Straight.
I'm just in the queue for number 2.
Okay. Any further discussion to motion number 1? We have an electronic hand? I don't see it. Who do you see over there? Member Norton.
Kristen, yes.
There we go.
I have a clarifying question. So I understood that SJR 10 is what was put out a few days ago, and this would be new. Is the new information that we just heard today still considered SJR 10, or is this a SJR 10 substitute? Or
What we have in line is a potential amendment to SJR 10, as I understand it.
Okay, so
correct?
when we vote on SJR 10, it's the original SJR 10 that was put out last Friday.
Right. So
Okay.
what's before the body is the version as of last Friday without any of what the legislature may do based on what we or others do today.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion to that motion? If not, let's vote. Member Bogus? This is that the board opposes SJR 10 as of February 24th, 2023. Member Bogus is a yes. Member Booth? So this is to vote to oppose SJR 10, which removes the earmark and has no other language as of February 24th, 2003. That's the version of SJR 10 currently pending. Okay, so Member Booth is a yes. Member Klein? Member Davis? Member Earl? Member Green?
Yes.
Member Hart?
Yes.
Member Hymas? Member Carey?
yes,
Member Lear? Member Norton?
Yes.
Member Reel? Member Straight?
Yes.
Member Wood? Member Moss is a yes. That passes, is that unanimous? That passes unanimously. On to number 2. That the board takes no position on alternate language for Article 13 and requests board leadership communicate to legislators that the proposed language is in the right direction. And to that one, I think we have a light from Member Bogus.
No.
Sorry? Oh, she's got you. Okay.
Yes,
Member Straight.
I have a substitute motion.
Okay.
I move that the board support alternate language for Article 13.
Is that the alternate language presented that we read today from the legislature? Okay,
yes.
thank you. And that's been seconded. Discussion to that motion. Seeing, oh yeah, we can pull that back up. So this was the language that was initially connected with Member Earl's motion, if we still have that in the queue. Okay. So the language in the box of Article 5 is my understanding of what Member Straight is moving to support, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's been seconded. Discussion of that motion. Member Bogus?
I do not want to speak to this.
Okay. Anybody to that motion then? Member Davis?
I'll speak for the motion simply because the language makes the resolution better.
Okay, thank you, Member Davis.
Not great.
Oh,
It's better.
further, seeing no other lights, I'll speak in favor, and I appreciate the legislature, again, hearing us. We went on record with a unanimous vote to have language that included these concepts. So appreciate the movement to incorporate those terms in the Constitution. Member Norton?
Yes, Chair, can I direct my question to Board Member Straight?
Sure.
Board Member Straight, what words in there do you feel strengthens this? Are there key words that you feel like, okay, this makes me feel better?
Chair, may I?
Yes, please.
So we've been back and forth uh, on this for the last number of weeks. And for me, I really felt like in the last week especially, there's been movement. Just the mere fact of including the constitutional language of the earmark, all revenue, and then it goes from there. The part that I really struggled with, to answer honestly, was that term portion. But if you look at what we had a week ago compared to what we have now, that word has been moved, and it reads different. I think we're actually in a better place in our current language. And let me give a quick illustration. Don't want to take too much time because we need to get gone. But right now, in this session, we have a proposal for $400 million in tax cuts out of the income fund, which a year ago was known as
The education fund.
the education fund. That money is coming at the beginning. And now this is going to create a situation where giving flexibility to the legislature is going to come from the top side and not the bottom. And I think that's advantageous to us. I think it will create a situation where the legislature will think double about their tax policy. And I think that's good for education.
Thank you, Member Norton and Member Straight. Any further discussion to that motion? That part of the motion? If not, members, please vote. Member Wood. Oh, I'm sorry, let me read it again. The motion before the body is then that the substitute motion, that the board supports the constitutional draft language in the February 24th, 2023 version of the legislative income tax earmark modification proposal. Member Wood. Yes. Member Straight.
Yes.
Member Reel. No. Member Norton.
Yes.
Member Lear. No. Member Carey.
Yes.
Member Hymas. Yes. Member Hart.
Yes.
Member Green.
Yes.
Member Earl. Yes. Member Davis. Member Klein. Member Booth. Yes. Member Bogus. No. Member Moss is a yes. That motion passes 11-4. Okay, back to the underlying substitute motion of Member Lear. We have item number 3. Back up there somewhere. Let's see, here we go. That the board requests that the legislature appropriate an additional 4% WPU for a total 10% WPU for the 2023-2024 school year. Member Lear, did you want to speak further to that motion or on to member, let's see, who's up in line? If you could, I'll just remind you, we've got 15 minutes.
Briefly,
5.
we're almost finished.
5 with the rolling extra 5. We
Yeah.
just want to get everybody to house ed.
Additional 2%, my hands never leave my arms, right?
Okay, go for it.
I'll just speak to this briefly, that I think we are getting very little for giving up this, for potentially giving up this constitutional guarantee. And if we know the money is available, and it is true, and I know that all education partners will be watching, that we may be losing other things as the legislature either chooses to take away. If we insist on this money in the WPU, it could be at the sacrifice of something that's really important, like all-day kindergarten, and that really troubles me. But at least our eyes will be wide, and we will be taking note of those kinds of things. But I believe the money is available and it's necessary, and I think we should get something for especially the language that was just passed.
Thank you, Member Lear. I've got Member Davis. Is that right? Member Davis, Member Earl, and Member Straight.
I think you have an amendment.
Go ahead.
It would read that the board requests that the legislature appropriate, comma, in addition to current PEA recommendations, comma, and then the rest of Member Lear's amendment or motion.
So then it would follow into an additional 4%, correct?
The next words would be an additional 4% WPU. Well, it would be a total of, what it would do, it would increase the legislature's proposal or the legislative negotiators' proposal by 2% still, but it would help take care of the problem that you just mentioned of losing full day K or one of the board's priorities for the increase in the WPU. And this is also what was requested by JLC. Well, at least the 10% WPU, but I am speaking
Okay.
without a second,
Yes, let's
actually.
get is there a second?
Just realized.
Second, go ahead, Member Davis. Without objection, we'll make that a friendly. It's been seconded anyway. Goes to you to address the motion.
I just did, out of turn, but I just did. I think
Thank you.
it's
All right.
important. Thanks.
Any further discussion on that motion then? Member Earl and then Member Straight were in line. Is that to this motion then as well? Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand this. So what we're doing is requesting more because of the 2% that was put into the recommendations proposal. Is that what I'm understanding? Okay, I guess in my mind, I'm not sure about asking for this additional money at this time with other things on the table. My personal recommendation, but it goes along with this because it relates to the 2%, would be to decouple it from the recommendations that were put into the proposal and actually give that money. So I guess that's what you're saying in doing this. Am I accurate in saying that? Right.
So
I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
I'll just interject for clarity. The PEA recommended 6% total WPU. The legislature's recent proposal to us would add an additional 2% to that WPU, but it would not be distributed unless until the constitutional amendment passes, at which point it would be distributed fall of 2024. So I understand this to be saying 4% in addition to the PEA's 6%, rather than the legislature's proposal of 2% next year, correct? Okay.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure too, because that would have been a motion that I made that we decouple that in relation to this, but I wanted to make sure that was in related to what you're trying to do. Is that accurate? Did that make any sense? Okay, this is what I'm saying. The proposal said that we would get 2% after the earmark or whatever passes, right? I'm not okay with that. If they got the money, we should be providing it for education. That's what this is, right? Okay,
That's 4%, where yours is 2%. So
right, but
what we have before the body is 4% now. What the legislature has is 2% later. So we're at 345. I set that time, so I think I have a little flexibility unless we were told a meeting at 4. At 4, right. So we were given a 15-minute cushion. I think we can probably get out of here in 5 if we take 5 more minutes, but let's get this motion before the body. Do we have any further discussion to item number 3, the motion to amend? Member Reel? Okay.
I have one.
If not, let's see. No, I'm sorry. We do have Member Straight. You lost your light
Super
here.
quick. For me, this is about people and programs, but most importantly, it's about people. It's about our administrators. It's about our lunch workers. It's about our bus drivers. It's about all the many aides, instructional aides, and so on and so forth. And we are out of whack with the market, and those resources would be valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will just clarify that the legislative proposal that was before the body was a package deal. And so we've separated it. We understand what we're doing, just to make sure board members know that is what we're doing, is we're separating out parts that were presented as a package. But this one is before the body to add 4% WPU to the 6% previously awarded by PEA, and to do it now. With any further lights, Member Davis?
What I had asked for in our meeting yesterday is some consistency among educational stakeholder groups. And this was the only measurable piece that was consistent amongst all the stakeholder groups, was the 10% WPU. Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, board members, let's vote. Member Bogus. Oh, Member Booth.
Yes.
Member Klein. Member Davis.
Yes.
Member Earl.
Yes.
Member Green,
Yes.
Member Hart,
Yes.
Member Hymus, Member Carey,
Yes.
Member Lear, Member Norton,
Yes.
Member Reel, Member Straight,
Yes.
Member Wood, and Member Moss is a yes. I'm just going to ask our deputy, are you here to let us know when we absolutely have to vacate the premises? Okay, so we need to get out. All right. I had one other motion, but I suspect it might have taken some debate. So we will hold that one. I was going to address the hold harmless, which I will just say for the record, we appreciate greatly the legislature accepting our proposal on that point, giving a sunset provision, but that's just me opinionating at this point. So with that, we will vacate the premises. That's speaking on behalf of myself. We need a motion, though.
Oh.
Oh.
We need to vote on number 3. Just number 3.
Well,
Vote on number 3.
we voted on each separately. We divided and we voted separately. So I think we just need one final motion.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?